last thing I want to kind of like tie everything together is mental health. With mental health and creating content and just surrendering your art to the world is something that you are really going to have to be aware that you are opening yourself up to opinions. Like, you are opening your heart, your soul, your creativity, your vulnerability to people to have any type of opinion about you and what you're doing. That's why you really have to, for me, you're gonna always see things that you don't want to see. I've gotten plenty of hate comments, man. It's just part of the world. It's just freedom of speech, especially on the internet. Anyone could say anything. It's just something that you're gonna have to see. Now, if you're gonna if you're gonna respond, that's cool. But if you're gonna respond, make sure two things. One, it has to be a part of your brand. A good way to like use as an example is like Tyler the Creator or like Eminem. Like when they say things, like nobody really like looks at them like, oh, why would they just say that? It's part of their character. Like people know that like Tyler's gonna say something off the wall because that's just him being him. Now, if you're someone that's like that never really says anything and then you have a moment, everyone's gonna say something about it for sure. Yeah, like Will Smith, because we're all used to Will Smith being like mad chill, mad nice, a polite individual. So when he had his moment, it was the biggest moment like for him. It kind of like made everyone look at him so different. But versus if like Tyler the Creator did something like that, it would just be like, that's just Tyler being Tyler or some shit like that. Like people wouldn't really look at it like so in depth of like that was so out of character. So be mindful of that, and also be mindful of like just the image that you want to portray, because one thing is people are always going to say that you change, but change is a part of life. Like you have to change, you have to evolve, especially if you're trying to grow as a person, as a creator, as an artist. It doesn't matter. You have to change, you have to adapt. So you cannot let these comments just change your perspective on who you are. Be mindful of who you're trying to be, and be mindful how you want people to see you. If you want people to see you as a respectful individual, cool. If you want people to see you as a disrespectful artist, cool. Like, it's just kind of one of those things where you have to be mindful of that and make sure that you're actually aware of that, because that self-awareness is going to directly lead into your branding when it comes to brands, your individual clients, and anyone else who's just watching you from the outside perspective. They're all paying attention to those things. So it's just really important that you're mindful of those things. And with opening up your vulnerability to the world and being prone to like having hate comments, like it can kind of warp your perspective on what I call like the curve. So every single career, whether it's artistic, business, doesn't matter, there is a curve. There's an increase, there's an incline, there's a peak, and then there's a decline. It happens to everybody. What really makes a person successful is knowing when to hop off the decline onto another curve. Now, I don't know if y'all are super familiar with Charles Darwin, the scientist and all that, but he is a prominent name in science. He quite literally is being studied in schools. He's a national hero. He got buried in like a very honorable place and all these things. Like, he is a very, very prominent name, a very successful person with a very successful career. He has a quite literal imprint stamp on history. To him, he was a failure. To him, he viewed himself as that he had a failed career. And the reason why was because he was so fixated on making another big break that he had done before. He didn't know when to let go of that and to venture off into something else. Like I said, everyone has a decline, and when you're on that decline, when you're in that period of stagnation and you're trying to replicate what once brought you there, you're going to spiral, because that decline is something that you can't stop. You could postpone it. We could use Drake as an example. Drake has been around for forever, and to us, we think that Drake is steadily on his incline, but realistically, he's going out. He's just going out so slow, and he's still putting out bangers. But it's like, you know what I'm saying? But really, he is going, like, it's not to like the peak of what it was, but because of social media, because of like TikTok and trends and like streaming, it's like it's hard to really notice that, but it happens to everybody. And you can only postpone that decline, but successful people know when to hop off of that and jump onto a new venture. So There is a composer, I forgot his name specifically, but there was a German composer who once got famous for creating very, very famous sheet music. And he was in a peak of his career. He went up. What's up, real quick? No, it wasn't Mozart. I forgot his name specifically. I'm gonna try to remember that, and if anyone wants to know, I will come up. I'll research that real quick, and I'll tell you. But he first got his recognition and his spot in music by being a sheet music writer. He wrote a bunch of sheet music that was very, very popular around the world. He then started to go on his decline, but instead of trying to chase what made him who he was, which was the sheet music, he instead became a composer. He became a composer and literally out here doing all of this instead of doing all of this. He changed his whole aspect of that and became even more famous by being a composer than being a writing sheet music. Knowing, you said what, like Kanye? Yeah, like when going from a producer to a rapper, like it's still implementing that part of your career, but going from like just making beats and making like, you know, a sonically gifted person to actually implementing his own words, his own character into that, into propelling his career. That's a great example right there. And knowing when to hop that curve is really what's gonna keep that longevity of your career going. So you don't want to be too wrapped up and too fixated on trying to just continue to replicate what made you kind of blow up. You kind of want to always be prone to adapt to change and understand that things are going to change over time. The algorithm changes, social media changes. I mean, TikTok used to be Musically, and that was a whole different type of platform. So now the fact that it went from Musically to like where it is now, and then now it's turning into a search engine platform, and now it's going to be 30-minute videos. It's basically turning into YouTube now slowly. So it's just like, it's just crazy how that changes. And if you as a creative and an artist and a creator don't change with it, it's gonna be hard for you to kind of like continue the longevity of your career. Because everybody wants to do what they love, but there's different ways to do it. Like you could be an instructor, like how I'm trying to do, and kind of like show my process of things, or you could just be like, if I wanted to like go into photography, just being a portrait photographer, I could hop into landscape or urban or wildlife, something like that. If I just wanted to stay into photography and I want to find ways to keep myself re-inspired, I could do it like that. Unless, even just with portrait photography, you can go into runway, high fashion, you could go into abstract, you can go into conceptual. Like there's different even variants of that. It's not just about, you know, following the one thing that made you who you are. You should 100% be prone to change. That adaptability is a talent that will surpass anyone else that's in the game. Like if you have that power to adapt and that self-awareness to know when to change, you're going to be around for a very, very long time. What's up? Oh, got you. Yeah. So yeah, just being open to people having an opinion about you is gonna happen. Like don't let it discourage you. Always be yourself no matter what. That's what's something that no one else will ever be able to replicate or replace. Like also when you get to that point where people are trying to replace you, understand that that's what's going to happen in the industry. Everyone's replaceable, but no one's going to do it like you. You got to remember that. Don't let, you know, a job opportunity slip make you feel like you're not good enough. No, you fine. Like you definitely that person, but you have to be humble enough to know that these brands, these corporations, they're huge. They've been around for freaking years. If they could drop Kanye, they could drop people, but who's gonna do it like Kanye? Like no one's gonna do it like him. They could find people, you know, that could do something that might help them, but no one's gonna do it like him. And as an artist, you have to stand on that because your art is who you are. It's a representation, an extension of yourself. So you shouldn't really be, you know, you shouldn't let anybody else kind of give you your worth. So you should be able to identify that. And that goes into just your mental health. Like that goes into understanding that keeping your mentality uplifted and positive, even if it's a whole lot of chaos going around, that's what's really going to help you propel and just never really have that peaking moment. And even when you start to feel hot, You got to keep the same type of perspective on yourself so you never lose that hunger that got you there. You don't want to lose that, because that's when you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm already here. I've seen you, like, for example, what about like Fetty Wap, bruh? Fetty Wap at one point was taking over, bruh, and now he's just chilling. And it's not like he fell off. He just stopped really making music for real because he felt like he got everything he wanted. Yeah, you say again? Yeah, Roddy Rich, like, you know what I'm saying? There's so many artists who just kind of stopped because they just felt like they got everything that they wanted, and that was it. They lost that hunger that got them there. Oh, man, what was his name? I don't know. But I know exactly. Do you know his name? Don't know. I don't know. But um nah, but yeah, you just don't wanna lose that hunger that, that got you there. That's really, really important. Make sure that you just keep the same perspective. Doesn't matter what level you are in your career, you're always a student. There's always more to learn. There's always more to be taught and to research. There's people who've been doing it longer than you, before you. They've done things that we've never even seen before. It's really good to look at that past to help adapt that into your new creations.